don't just want the news, they want the truth. What others hide, I bring to you with evidence. Politics, corruption, human rights. No filters, no fear, just facts. I don't stop until the system shakes. This is Trending Daily and I'm Makhdoom Shahabuddin. Today we are looking at a development that has the potential to reshape not just a single conflict, but the entire diplomatic architecture of the modern world. At a time when the Middle East is once again on the edge, when tensions between the United States and Iran are rising, and when global energy markets are hanging by a thread, a joint initiative has emerged that is quietly but powerfully changing the conversation. A 5-point proposal jointly put forward by China and Pakistan. This is not just another diplomatic statement. This is a strategic intervention. And more importantly, it represents a shift in who is shaping global diplomacy. For decades, conflict resolution frameworks were dominated by Western powers. The rules, the venues, the pressure mechanisms all came from one direction. But today, that model is being challenged. And what we are witnessing is the rise of alternative diplomatic centers, led by countries that understand regional sensitivities far better than distant global actors. The China-Pakistan 5-point proposal comes at a moment of maximum volatility. The Middle East is not just a regional theater anymore. It is the heart of global energy flows. It is the crossroads of strategic trade routes. And any instability there sends shockwaves across the entire world. Oil prices react instantly. Shipping lanes become uncertain. Markets panic. And economies, especially import-dependent ones, begin to feel the pressure almost immediately. Pakistan understands this reality deeply. Because for Pakistan, this is not just geopolitics. This is survival. This is economic stability. This is national interest. So when Pakistan steps forward alongside China to propose a structured roadmap for de-escalation, it is not symbolic diplomacy. It is calculated, strategic, and necessary. Let's break down what this 5-point proposal actually represents. First, it calls for an immediate end to hostilities. Now, this may sound like a standard diplomatic demand, but in the current context, it is critical because active conflict creates chaos, and chaos destroys any possibility of meaningful dialogue. Without a ceasefire, there is no negotiation. Without stability, there is no trust. And without trust, there is no peace. So the first step is simple but powerful. Stop the fire. Create space. Allow breathing room for diplomacy to function. The second point focuses on returning to dialogue. This is where the proposal becomes more than just a crisis response. It becomes a pathway forward. Because wars do not end on battlefields. They end at negotiating tables. And what China and Pakistan are essentially saying is this: if you want a sustainable solution, you must talk. Not through threats, not through escalations, but through structured, serious engagement. The third element is the protection of civilians and infrastructure. And this is crucial because modern conflicts are no longer confined to military targets. Civilian populations, energy facilities, transport networks all become part of the battlefield. And when that happens, the human cost multiplies. By emphasizing civilian protection, the proposal aligns itself with international humanitarian principles. But more importantly, it sends a message that stability is not just about states, it is about people. The fourth point addresses maritime security, specifically the safety of critical routes like the Strait of Hormuz. This is where the proposal shows strategic depth, because whoever controls or disrupts these routes does not just influence a region, they influence the global economy. A single disruption in the Strait of Hormuz can send oil prices skyrocketing worldwide, and we are witnessing that. And for countries like Pakistan, which rely heavily on energy imports, that is a direct economic threat. So this is not just about regional stability. This is about global economic security. And finally, the proposal calls for adherence to the principles of the United Nations Charter, reinforcing multilateralism and a rules based order. Now, here is where things get very interesting. Because this is not just about peace, it is about legitimacy. By grounding the proposal in international law, China and Pakistan are positioning it as a framework that the global community can support, not a unilateral plan, not a bloc driven agenda, but a multilateral pathway. And that matters a lot. Because in today's fragmented world, legitimacy is power. Now, let's talk about why this proposal is gaining attention internationally. It is not just the content, it is the credibility behind it. China brings economic weight, global influence, and deep ties with multiple actors in the region. Pakistan brings something equally important: connectivity, diplomatic connectivity, cultural connectivity, and strategic connectivity. Pakistan has working relations with Iran. It has deep ties with Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. It maintains engagement with the United States. This is not common. In fact, this is rare. And this rare positioning allows Pakistan to act as a bridge, not a side, not a proxy, but a connector. And in modern diplomacy, connectors are more valuable than ever. Because conflicts today are not just about two sides. They are about networks of alliances. And navigating those networks requires trust. Pakistan at this moment has that trust. But let's not ignore the challenges. Because while the proposal is strong in structure, its success depends on something far more complex: acceptance. Will all parties agree to a ceasefire? Will they trust the framework enough to engage in dialogue? Will major powers, especially the United States, see value in a process that is not Western led? These are critical questions because without full participation, even the best proposals can struggle to deliver results. There is also the issue of enforcement. The proposal outlines principles, but it does not define strict mechanisms for compliance. And in a high stakes geopolitical environment, voluntary cooperation is not always reliable. This is where diplomacy meets reality, where ideals meet interests, and where even the strongest frameworks face resistance. But here is the key point. Even if the proposal does not immediately resolve the conflict, it changes the conversation. It introduces an alternative. It shows that diplomacy is not monopolized by one bloc. It proves that countries like China and Pakistan can step forward not just as participants but as agenda setters. And that is a major shift because for decades, Pakistan was viewed primarily through a security lens. A country reacting to crisis, a country managing instability. But today, that image is evolving. Pakistan is now being seen as a facilitator, a stabilizer, a country that can contribute to solutions, not just manage problems. And that is a powerful transformation because influence in the modern world is not just about military strength. It is about diplomatic relevance. It is about being in the room where decisions are shaped. And increasingly, Pakistan is in that room. The China-Pakistan 5-point proposal is not just about the Middle East. It is about the future of global diplomacy. It is about who leads, who mediates, and who builds consensus in a divided world. And right now, Pakistan is making it clear. It intends to be part of that leadership. Whether this initiative succeeds or not will depend on many factors. But one thing is already certain. The world is no longer looking at Pakistan as a passive player. It is looking at Pakistan as a proactive force, a country stepping into the center of global conversations, a country offering solutions in a time of crisis. And in a world desperate for stability, that role matters more than ever. You were watching Trending Daily. This is your host, Makhdoom Shahabuddin. See you in the next episode.